All right, welcome everyone. I am so excited you're all here for this month's Coaches in Business Real Talk event. If you're building a coaching business, you already know it's not just about strategy or systems. It's also about navigating the doubts, the pivots, the slow seasons, and doing it all while still showing up to serve others. You might be wondering, am I charging enough? How do I create consistent revenue? How do I grow without burning out? If these questions resonate with you, type in a +1. This Real Talk series was born out of a simple but powerful truth. Entrepreneurship can feel lonely. Even when things look successful on the outside, we all go through doubts, pivots, and plateaus behind the scenes. That's why I launched this space to have the real conversations, the raw moments, and the genuine connection that so many of us crave as we grow our businesses. For those who are new to me, welcome. I'm Diana YK Chan. I'm a former career coach turned business growth strategist, and I've spent the last 14 years helping professionals and coaches grow purpose-driven, profitable businesses. I'm an 11-time LinkedIn Learning instructor, 7 times UN speaker, 2 times top personal branding expert in Canada, and I'm known for being a super connector with a strong global network. I've helped my clients build 6 and 7 figure businesses, transition from one-on-one coaching to a scalable group programs, achieve consistent 20K months, land 5 figure speaking gigs, diversify their income through coaching, speaking, brand deals, and licensing, and launch sold out programs and 6 figure launches with clarity and confidence. But more than the title or the credential, I'm here because I care deeply about helping you grow a business that truly works for your life. We kicked things off in January, where I shared my own business pivot journey from career coaching to business coaching. Last month, we heard from Tiffany Uman on scaling to 7 figures with a hybrid group coaching model. And today, I'm so thrilled to welcome my dear friend, Maya Grossman. Maya is an executive career coach, LinkedIn top voice, former VP of marketing, best-selling author, and LinkedIn learning instructor with over 120,000 followers on LinkedIn. She joined my business mastermind retreat in 2023, and a year later, she doubled her business while working less and living more intentionally. Today, she's going to share her pricing journey, what worked and what didn't, the mindset shifts that helped her raise her rates and attract better fit clients, how she planned, positioned, and scaled her business with strategy and simplicity. If you're excited for today's session, type in a +1 and share with us what's one thing you're hoping to learn from today. So let's dive in and welcome Maya.
Thank you so
Welcome.
much. I was going to do a +1. I'm excited now. You hyped me up.
We are so excited to have you here today. Thank you for coming back to speak to my audience here. And I just want to say I am so grateful for our friendship. Thank you for connecting with me a few years ago. And I love that you also came back to visit to Toronto, where we had a reunion last year. It
Yeah.
was so fun in Toronto. And I just want to share a quick story to our audience here that Maya really paid attention to my content last year, where she sent me this beautiful bracelet here that has engraved my word of the year, which is invite. Inviting people into my space, inviting more abundance. So I just want to say thank you for that. I really cherish our friendship.
Yeah, likewise. And I love doing that. I'm a very visual person, so I have a lot of post-its and I need to see things like the cover of my phone basically says build the career of my dreams. I need to see it every single day. And I thought, well, how can I help Diana do the same?
I love that.
But yeah, and I mean, you know what? It started as a mastermind, but we've became such good friends. And I'm excited to be here and just share from my knowledge. I am in no way the best in the world or an expert. I'm just someone who's been through a lot of shit, excuse my language, and I'm happy to share what to avoid and what you might spend some more time on.
Well, this is why we call it the real talk, right, Maya? So why don't we
Yeah.
kick things off with an overview of who you serve, what do you offer, and what does your business model look like?
Yeah, well, that has changed a lot in 4 years. This is year number 4 of me running my business. But today, what I do is help directors become VPs. So it's very specific, very clear. I'm an executive coach. I will make you executive ready so that you can level up in months, not years. And I run a group coaching program where I teach live, so not recorded videos, but me actually showing up and doing the work. And sometimes for the right clients, I do one-on-one, but the price tag on that went way up. But yeah, that's it. Simple, right? One thing, one offer, one transformation.
Okay, so one offer, one group program, and then you also occasionally do some one-on-one private coaching there.
Yeah.
Amazing. So let's talk, take us back. I want to take us back. Like I know you attended my retreat back in 2023. Let's rewind for a moment. Where was your business back in like 2022 at that time? How were you feeling about it? And a year later in 2024, which is last year, what had really shifted for you? And now in 2025, where are you now? And how do you feel about your business today?
Yeah, so different. So, first year in business, I actually had no idea what I want to do. So, I tried everything. I wanted to see what would stick. I did one-on-one, I did long group, short group, I created a course, I did speaking, literally everything. It's almost like instead of running a business, I just gave myself another job. I worked around the clock, and at the end of the year, I still called it a success, right? I just hit around the six figures mark, and I was like, okay, but that was exhausting. I don't know if I want to do this again. And mind you, this is just post-COVID, and I did all of this alone. I literally had no one, just me in a room trying to figure things out. So I was just so frustrated, had no idea how I'm going to make it to the following year. And then I saw something I think Tiffany shared on LinkedIn where the two of you met and you had a spa day. And I was like, oh my God, spa day with people who do what I do. And I think I just reached out and said, hey, how can I do that? And that's when you invited me to the mastermind in Cancun. And I'm going to be really honest. At the beginning, I was like, whoa, that's a lot, right? Am I going to invest that much in myself and just go and talk to other people? But I'm so glad that I did because it changed everything. Because we're not supposed to do this alone. And
Yeah.
the best thing that you can do, and funny enough, I teach all of my clients that, is to learn from someone who has been in your shoes. They don't need to be 20 years ahead of you, but if they're even a year ahead and they had a few more challenges and they figured it out, it will make your life so much easier. Plus, you're not going to feel alone. So that was kind of the first aha moment of, oh, this is how you actually grow your business. You get the help that you need. You create a community and you get other people's experience to help you make fewer mistakes. And I think for me, the biggest transformation that came out of it is one, doubling down on the group coaching aspect of it. I was doing a lot more one-on-one, and it was time for me to figure out a better way to scale,
Mhm.
um, but also just going all in, right? Actually believing that I can do it and taking the time. And I will say one last thing, and then we'll talk about the growth. The one thing that stuck with me, which is all you, and it actually even evolved in this past year, is to make time for me. One of the things that I will never forget is I have CEO days, like Friday is my CEO day. And I thought, oh my God, how can you do that? But you have a business to run. I mean, I work all the time, but I made a promise to myself. Once a month, it wasn't every week. I'm going to figure out how to do something for me. I'm going to get my hair done. I'm going to get a massage, whatever. And that slowly transitioned into most Fridays, I don't work anymore. I
Wow.
do whatever I need to get myself prepped to rest, to relax. But it started with a belief that if someone like you can do it and you're still extremely successful, then I can probably do it. And yeah, that was a huge transformation. Just thought you should know that.
Oh, thank you for sharing that. I love hearing this. Like Katie just shared, Friday are my day too. Yeah, I call it Fridays are my CEO pampering day, whether it's some self-care, massage, manicure, or lunch with a friend, or a spa day. How many of you have been to a spa day with me here? I really believe one of my mantra, Maya, is the more time off I take, the more I make, or more rest equals more success. And part of it, I really believe this is that when we take time to slow down, to relax and reflect, that's when new inspiration ideas come. And so I love that you share this because I also still remember when you first came to my mastermind, when you left, you said that you're going to go back home to make sure that you have time for self-care.
Yeah. That was a
So,
huge change for me. I spent 20 years working nonstop. I consider myself a high achiever, and I actually love doing that. But I didn't realize how much it was getting to me and actually standing in my way versus helping me. So it was mostly a mindset shift, meaning you don't have to work your butt off to make money. We're not replacing hours with an income. This is a whole different ball game, which by the way has a lot to do with pricing. We're going to get there.
yeah.
But it was a mindset shift first. And then that year, 2024, I decided to do less and figure out how to make more. So I went from having a billion things to just one thing. Well, that year I still did two. So we're going to call it one and a half.
Hmm.
I started a group coaching program and I wanted to have a downsell. So I had like a mini version of that. And I tried to sell both, and people got really confused. So at the end of that year, I finally realized, you know what? One thing, one thing, but absolutely nail it. Put all of your time and energy into it. So 2024 was still incredible. We still grew the business, but I was still working a little bit harder than I wanted. And I'm still the kind of person who works, 8 to 10 hours a day. I still like it, but I wanted to have more space to do the meaningful stuff. And that's also when I started hiring. And that completely changed everything because at the beginning it was like, me, I'm going to do it all myself. When I have enough money, I will outsource. No, you outsource to have more money because then you have more time to do the things that actually matter. And you also taught me that.
I love
Um,
that. Simplicity sell, but also like working, delegating, outsourcing. I remember Christmas just last year in December, just before the holidays, you messaged me or called me, what to do with your free time.
I know.
You had
I
more
was
free
freaking
time.
out. I'm like, Diana, like, I don't have to do anything the next couple of days. What's wrong?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm curious to hear from the audience, if you're typing in the chat, is how many hours are you working per week in your business? I think one of the myths that a lot of people have is in order to scale my business, I need to work more hours. I need to work more crazy hours and it could lead to burnout. So, and this is why we're talking about this today is how do you scale without burnout here? So my next question is when you think back of what your business would look like 2, 3 years ago to now, what's something you're most proud of that isn't tied to revenue?
What am I most proud of? First and foremost, my team. I have a fantastic team. So I have two people working for me. One is a VA in the Philippines, and she does a lot of my design work and helps me with some of the emails and stuff like that. And then I actually have a full-time freelancer working for me on the marketing side. And she has been um, just the biggest change to my business because she's basically a mini version of me, extremely smart, very motivated, and whatever I need her to do gets done. And that has changed everything from doing my content to even strategy, which I thought, oh, I cannot outsource strategy. Oh, yeah, I can. When you teach someone well, they can actually do it for you. She does a lot of the sales outreach and she handles a lot of the customer requests. And those are many, many, many hours that I now get to have back. I just had my in-laws here for 2 weeks and I could have never done that before. We were traveling, we were having fun. I was working 2, 3 hours a day, but that's it. And I wasn't stressed and I wasn't freaking out, and the business was still making money. And
Wow.
that was the biggest change for me.
So if
And
you
now
just,
I'm thinking about number three, by the way.
yeah, yeah, I love it. If now, what you focus on as the CEO of the business, what are your core priorities that you really focus on?
Growth and servicing my customers. That's it.
Mhm.
So more high level strategy, meaning how do we do more and better of what we're doing? And then how do I give the best service to my clients? I constantly update my program, not like, hey, I'm going to start everything from scratch, but just refine it, add some AI tools into it. I just really want to make it the best to suit my clients' problems.
Hmm.
And just, like I said, giving service because that's what I do. That's the part that I personally don't want to outsource. I know a lot of people do that. They actually hire other coaches, and that can be amazing. I get all of the joy out of the coaching. So I
Yeah.
want to do more of that and then outsource everything else. So my next goal for the year is to hire a salesperson because I don't want to do sales anymore. But
Mm.
now that I know how to do it, now that we have more consistency in conversion, I can teach someone else and bring them in. At least that's my approach.
I love that. It's getting really clear on what you want to own and what's next in terms as you continue to grow hiring a salesperson. One of the common things I always hear from entrepreneurs and coaches is really this emotional roller coaster of the revenue ups and downs. How do you manage the emotional roller coaster that comes with the entrepreneurship? Especially when
Well,
revenue is like unpredictable or growth feels slow. I want to hear from the audience. You want to type it in or just share afterwards as well. This is like a common thing I hear about all the time.
oh, 1,000%. No one has it figured out. Now, at the beginning, it was a lot harder. At the beginning, it would really knock me out for days and put me in a really weird headspace. I think after a few years of consistent growth and getting revenue, even if it's not the same every single month, I have a much stronger belief that no matter what happens, I will figure it out. And I'm also trying to have better ways to identify my triggers before they become a huge thing. So if I'm starting to kind of feel myself or hear myself in my head, I take some time to breathe. I look at some of the things that I wrote to myself of like, oh, there's actually a quote I really like. It's on my wall and it says, anything above zero compounds. So it's just a reminder that, okay, so maybe you didn't make six figures this month or week or whatever. It's okay. Anything above that is going to compound. And as long as you are creating value for people, the revenue will follow. That's a lot of mindset work. Now, does that mean that I never freak out or have like bad days? Of course not. We all do. The beginning of this year, after 4 years in business, I had a masterclass that absolutely tanked. The one after that made six figures.
Mm.
So sometimes it's just not you. Now, we obviously want to have more of that consistency, but we can't control everything. So for me, the way that we bounced back was, okay, let's see what worked, let's see what didn't work. Small tweaks, not starting from scratch. Let's see how we can improve. And that was the solution. So
Yeah, that's amazing
yeah,
to hear that.
action is the cure.
Actually, yeah, I love that you're talking about this, especially the quote that you shared, because, and I want to hear if anyone wants to talk there too, because especially I think I was talking to some clients even today as well, that yes, you may have had a great month last month, hitting like your first 10K or 20K month, and then all of a sudden like March break where things are slow and they're like starting doubting, like, did I make the right decision to move to this new audience or new offer here? And should I go back to that?
Yeah.
And so it's so important, I think, that to the belief, but also to continue to make continuous improvement, but also test things out. Like give yourself time to test things out for a good 90-day period before you make any more drastic changes again.
Yeah, I have the rule of three. If I test something, I have to test it 3 times. So if I'm doing a masterclass, I will do it 3 times before I make any crazy decisions about it's working, it's not working, it's the end of the world.
Okay, so you will go
And
through
for
three
that, you need some
tranches.
patience. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because, like you said, time of year can matter. Who are the people that we brought in? Sometimes we have people who are a little bit more cold if we do a sponsorship. Sometimes it's just people from my email list. They know me, they're warmer. We have to look at some of this information before we make crazy decisions. I suck, nothing works. I'm going to quit and start all over because that's terrible for your mindset, but it's also a waste of your time. Because for the most part, if you were able to sell something once, you can do it again. You just need to look at the variables that changed and see if you can do more of the things that work.
Yeah, I love that advice. And I think this ties into um, in terms of who was it? Someone told me before that they checked their sales revenue on a daily basis of how that can cause a
Oh,
lot of
not anymore.
stress.
No, 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 not anymore.
How many of you do that?
Monthly, monthly. I still get the Stripe notifications, but they go to a folder, so I don't have to see them. Um, monthly,
Yeah.
but I evaluate success either quarterly or annually
Yes.
because on a long enough timeline, things look differently.
Totally.
And there was a question from Jackie here that I actually wanted to answer about what does testing mean? Yeah, going public. I'll give you the best example. At the end of last year, I was still refining my messaging. At the beginning, it was executive ready or breakthrough to executive roles. And I was working um, with a coach at the time, and he really, really pushed me, like, no, be more specific. And I was always scared of niching down, niching down, niching down. And he said, no, you have to do it. And that kind of pushed me to say, okay, director to VP, but how do I explain it? And he asked me, okay, let's, role play, give me a few ideas. And I'm like, well, technically, when I talk to people, I just tell them, I'm going to make you a VP. And he said, great, say that. And that day, I changed my LinkedIn banner. I changed my title, everything to say, I will make you VP because that's how you test it. I'm not going to wait
Yeah.
you know, 20
Yeah.
days. I'm not going to build a whole campaign around it. I literally just changed it. And then the content after that changed. And honestly, ever since we made that change, we get a lot more just inbound sales calls.
Yeah.
People
Yeah.
literally, they understand the value, they want to talk to me, they buy.
Do you,
It was a game changer.
I love that. Like, so you got really clear on this messaging, the positioning here. Do you remember when you told me there was a post you wrote last year, just before holidays, that really went viral and it got you a lot of inbound leads? Remember what that post was about?
Yes. So, first caveat, virality doesn't mean money. Likes ain't cash. This is one of the biggest realizations that I had this year because my content now gets probably a quarter of the exposure that I used to have when I just started writing, but it converts 100 times better. So when the right post goes viral, it's amazing. When the wrong post goes viral, it wastes your time. A lot of shitty conversations. So it was very specific to a pain point. It was a video about who actually gets promoted and why. And I quoted research from Harvard Business Review saying people who advocate for themselves are 70% more likely to get promoted. So if you are not doing it, you're not going to get this opportunity. So a little bit, putting people on the spot. But that one video brought in around 20 sales conversations and 10 conversions, just like that.
Wow, that's amazing. I'm going to check
Yeah.
with the audience here. Any questions before I move into the pricing aspect here? Like, I know Maya covered a lot here with regards to messaging, positioning, entrepreneur mindset, and belief. Anyone want to raise their hand or want to speak on camera here? Got a question or
I've got a
thoughts?
quick one.
Yeah, Izzy?
Maya, it's so nice to be on a call with you finally. I've been wanting to come to one of these events for a million years, so I'm so excited to be here. First off.
Awesome.
Second, I wanted to say that what was your first VA? Because I'm sort of in the middle of like, should I get a VA who can teach me things, or should I get a VA that I teach things? And so what was your first VA, or like what's a mistake that you made that you would recommend against?
Yeah. Well, the mistake is not hiring people because you think it's too expensive or it's too early or I waited way too long. So the first VA that I hired, like I said, she's from the Philippines, and this was more for the execution part. So a lot of the design, I did my own website for 2 years, like every single landing page. Such a waste of time because someone else does it better than me, faster, and it can give me more time back to do other things. She does a lot of the logistics, things that we can't automate. A lot of things we automate, so she builds the automations, but some things just still require a person, so she would
Mhm.
do that. Research, anything along those lines. For me, that was the first step because I was still a little scared to give away the important stuff, but it still gave me a little bit more time. I then hired someone to do more of the marketing operations. And even though I thought it was a good fit, it wasn't. And I waited way too long to say it's not working because I basically was just like, oh, it's fine. I just won't give it her. Oh, it's fine. I'll just do it myself, which is again a waste of time, especially if you're paying someone. And then the last person I hired now, who is the best team member that I have, it's a combination of me guiding her because on some aspects I know more, and sometimes I'm just like, what do you think? What do you recommend? How would you do it? Because she's younger than me. She's really hot on TikTok and knows stuff that I don't know. So I teach her more on the email and marketing side, and she talks to me a lot about the videos. She does all of my Instagram videos. So I record them, my VA edits, but then my team member just tells her, oh, change this headline. It's not, good enough. Let's add this thing or that thing. So I literally just record videos and then everything else happens, which is the only reason that I actually have an Instagram account because otherwise it will never happen. But I hope that answered your question. So
Yeah,
yeah,
thank you.
hire people sooner than you think you should.
I love that. That is a great question. I have three VAs myself. I've always had one since 2016 after I had my first son there, and always had them someone helping me with writing because I didn't really enjoy writing as much. And now I have a dedicated VA primarily who helps with the social media content creation, anything like tech support, and then another VA that specializes in video editing, design, and then another focus on administrative support there with social media engagement. For me, what prompted was last year, I just had too many DMs. I was dropping the ball. I was just totally dropping the
Yeah.
ball that I knew I was leaving money on the table. And I just need to hire an additional admin person to help me with that because I was not getting the right calls booked if it didn't respond in time.
Yeah. And I would add one quick thing, and I think there was also another question. So I actually hired my VA through a recommendation from Diana. Um, it's a great team. The first person I worked with didn't work out, and I found out really quickly, so they immediately gave me someone else. At the beginning, you need to do some training. My best advice, do everything on Loom. So every time you want to show them how to do something, record it on Loom, and then make it an SOP, right? This is how we do things. So even if you need to change someone, maybe they go on vacation, there's always a way for someone to step in. And everything just became a process. So yeah, at the beginning, I spent more time training. And after about a month, I would say, I don't really do that much. I'm like, hey, we need to create this landing page. Here's a Loom I recorded. The next day, everything is in place. It's perfect. I don't need to double check. The mobile version works. Everything is in place.
Yeah, that's great. Okay, one more question
Yeah.
to move on to pricing here. Jackie asked, right now, do you spend most of your time coaching or running the business and leading your team?
Because I'm doing the group model and not a lot of one-on-ones, my coaching is quite minimal, I would say. So I teach live 1 hour a week. That's it. And then I provide a lot of support through voice and audio. So I do it in my free time. And that's how I give my clients the support that they need. But that's the actual coaching that I'm doing. And I do have a few one-on-ones. So that might be another hour or two a week. I spend about 2 hours a week with my team, like actual conversations. We think together, we go through challenges. It's not just DMs. We actually have a conversation. Building the relationship, by the way, is really important. We're all people, right? We want to have a connection. And both of my team members are remote, and I didn't get to meet them, at least not yet. I'm thinking about going to Colombia, so we'll see. But you need that connection and relationship. So I still spend a lot of time on the strategy part and I still create my own content. I just have a lot of help in how we actually share it, commenting on LinkedIn, and just making sure that we have the exposure we need. So yeah, that's pretty much what I do now. I don't handle the stuff I don't want to handle anymore.
You have a lot more free time now.
I wouldn't call it free, but I'm learning how to make sourdough. So that will give you an idea.
I love that. I love that. Okay, so I'm going to now move into a part two of the pricing discussion here. I want to ask the audience on a scale of 1 to 10, how confident are you with pricing your services? So 10 meaning extremely confident, 1 not confident at all. Share with us in the chat here how confident with pricing. And Maya, I have a question for you is before becoming a coach, you had two key experiences that shaped how you think about pricing and value. Can you share those with us?
Yeah, that is actually funny. So I was a marketer my entire career, and before jumping ship and deciding to start my own business, I did a couple of things. The first one was just doing some marketing consulting. And I was new to California. I wasn't exactly sure what the rates were. And I had this opportunity actually to work with Walmart and do some consulting for them. And everyone told me, well, they have money. You should, you know, give them a nice offer. And I just shared the highest number I could think of. I was like, screw it, let's just see what happens. And they were like, okay. And then I thought, wait a minute. And just to give everyone some clarity about what that was, I asked for $1,500 an hour for my time where I don't do anything except show up and talk. That's it. I don't prepare anything for you. I just come in and I'm going to tell you what's wrong with your strategy and how to fix it. And they loved it. And then I thought I should have asked for more. But that was the first time that I realized I wasn't actually selling an hour. I was selling my value. I was selling my 20 years of knowledge. So that was the first sign. And then the second one, during the time that I was doing this coaching, I was approached about a VP role. And even though I wasn't looking, I was like, let's see what's going on here. It was a really big company, Fortune 500. I jump on the interview. They really like me and they're like, okay, so we just want to align on salary expectations. And I normally don't say a number, but again, I wasn't interested. I was just trying to see what's going on and maybe I can consult for them. And I was like, well, I'm probably gonna aim for $1 million at the end of this year. So if you can match that, I think that will work for me. And she goes, I think that's reasonable. And I was like, wait, what just happened? And I think for me, I heard it so many times, like, don't replace your time with money, but I was still doing it. And that was the first time that it was like, shit, I can actually do this. My time is valuable because of my experience. And for anyone who is not sure that they're there yet, I'm gonna play a little game, Diana, if you don't mind.
Yeah. Yeah.
If I worked with a client for 6 months and I got them a promotion, right? That promotion just gave them $50,000 raise. Will it make sense for me to charge $10,000? Just give me a yes or no in the chat. Does that sound reasonable? Okay. See a lot of yeses. No, why no? I should probably charge more. Yeah, I agree. Um, if it took me 3 months to do the same thing, 3 months, they got $50,000. I got them the promotion they wanted. Can I still charge $10,000 for the 3 months, even though it's less time? Okay, I see some nods. Good. What if I recorded a 2-minute audio for them? They did what I said. They got the promotion and the $50,000 raise. How much should I charge? Because the last one, that's the one that actually happened. So I spent 2 minutes and it should be worth $10,000. Now, luckily, this was someone already in my program, so I didn't charge them that much. But this is how it works. You're not getting paid for your time. You're getting paid for the result and the transformation. So maybe that's a little bit of a mindset shift.
I love this. This is an aha moment. I would love to share a story because this really shifted my way of thinking about pricing as well. Because what we're talking about here is the results, the impact, the transformation, and also really the years of experience, expertise that you bring to the table of people you serve, especially if you're a well-trained coach and also had a lot of great experience in corporate as well. And last year I closed my first six-figure contract, an executive coaching contract that was only 2.5 months long engagement, less than 3 months. And at first, I just thought it was gonna be 10K. I thought it was a 10K because I'm like, that's like around like what I would do for like interview coaching engagement. And then I understood that the engagement was more than that, helping as an executive client to land a CEO job at a $1 billion company. And I found out that all their competitors, all this candidates' competitors, all hired companies like the McKinsey, the Deloittes, the PwC to do market research to build a business case. He also needed help with building a business case. I was like, okay, there's no way I can go in as a 10K contract here because all the competitors are at least paying 250,000. Like I was
Yeah.
through my research. So throughout the weekend, because I also brought in another coach to work with me on this engagement, because my focus was on primarily interview coaching, her focus was the French training and building the business case, the strategy deck. And so we pitched it as a 4-in-1. Hiring both of us is a 4-in-1. You don't need to look for anyone at all, and we're going to help you with everything. And I couldn't believe it. There was no pushback. It was literally a yes on the spot on the Zoom call. And that lesson taught me the importance of one, being really clear on the value that you're providing, being really clear on the roadmap of how you're going to guide them through. Because he worked crazy hours as well. So we had a work back schedule. We actually created a work back schedule with specific dates of when we're going to meet them. And really positioned it for this. It was like a white glove service, like everything done for you, so you don't have to worry about anything. And so for him, it was like he was pressed for time as well, and he was seen as the underdog candidate. So I was like, yep, this is like my best choice. And so that taught me a very valuable lesson. It's not just about hours, but the value that we're providing, because it was so much more than initial scope of work. They're getting really clear on what we're working on.
Yeah, 1,000%. And I love that you said not only clear on the offer, but also how we're going to get there, right? The path to the transformation, that's important because if people see a big gap and they have no idea, how am I going to cross it? That's when they get overwhelmed and confused and don't always say yes. And a lot of the time when people say price, it's not price. They just don't understand what they're going to get out of it because when they do, they know that it's worth it.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah. So let's talk about your pricing journey. And you went from 10K to 5K to 3.5K back to 5K now. Walk us through what drove those changes and what you learned at each level.
Yeah, so the 10K one came from um, a program that I was part of where the focus was very high ticket coaching, group coaching, but high ticket. And it was 10K for 6 months for group and one-on-one. And that felt great. And I was actually able to sell that. But I was burning out because I had 8 clients doing that. They each got 12 one-on-ones with me. So do the math, a lot of freaking hours. And as much as I love coaching, it took so much of my time. So I didn't have time to bring in more clients. I didn't have time to work on the program. So the first thing I learned from that is cut it in half. So I did 3 months, 5K. That was more manageable. I still did one-on-ones, but less. And it was a lot more manageable for me. And when I started doing that, I realized, wait, maybe they don't need the one-on-ones. Maybe we can just do the group. It was also late in 2023 or early 2024 when the economy was so bad. A lot of people were losing their jobs. They still are, but it was a lot harder at the beginning. And I really wanted to make this an easy hell yes for them. I didn't want them to take, months and months to consider it, which is why we moved from 5K to 3,500, but no one-on-one. And I used that to get really good at selling because the price wasn't an obstacle anymore. So I spent all of my time on the pitch and the offer and adding stuff and removing stuff and just getting really good at telling their story and solving their problem. And after I saw it's no longer a problem and it's pretty much, I wouldn't say easy, it's just there was a good fit. I realized because people were getting amazing results over and over and over again that we were just underpriced. And I also started moving a little bit more towards more senior people. So when I was saying, hey, executive ready, I had people who were, I don't know, managers or very new to the workforce, and they still wanted to sign up. And I didn't tell them, hey, don't pay me to teach you how to grow your career. But I realized that the biggest transformations happen from that director to VP jump because it's the hardest to make and where people are willing to make an investment. So we kind of leveled up the caliber of customers, which actually meant, hey, we can charge more. So we went back to the 5K late last year. And I can say it's easier to sell 5K than 35K for this offer.
So what I'm hearing here, though, from a learning standpoint, is your program is still the same, but really you tweaked around also how much, let's say, one-on-one you offer, the length of the program, but you really worked on also getting better at selling and closing. And now
Yeah.
we've identified that it's actually easier to sell at the 5K mark than the 3.5K mark.
When you have the right offer, when people understand what they get out of it, when you can tap into their pain points. So when I talk to people on a sales call, 95% of the time they will tell me, Maya, every one of your posts on LinkedIn, it's me, it's my problem. I know that I'm the get shit done person. I know that I'm not advocating for myself. They self-diagnose. So I don't need to convince them they have a problem. I just need to show them the transformation. And I think that was the biggest difference. And it's not that I didn't have a good program before, but it wasn't as specific. And a lot of my content was how to, which I no longer do. Now I focus on conversion content, which is basically talking about the problem, talking about my experience. I share a lot more of my client journeys to show people, hey, this is possible even for you. And I tell a lot of stories. Now, I still give a lot of stuff for free. I have a newsletter, I have a lot of lead magnets, but the content gets a lot more remember, like saying cash, but I get a lot more conversion. People showing up, wanting to talk, wanting to buy. And I think that was the biggest shift. And it started around September of last year of me telling everyone, I will make you VP, and then figuring out how to back that up with the actual sales pitch. But I went from, I'm going to solve all of your problems to literally telling people, I only do three things. There are a lot of career coaches out there and they're all amazing, but I only do one thing. I'm going to make you executive ready. So if that is your goal, you're in the right place. But if you're looking for ABC, I have amazing friends that I can recommend to you. I literally say that to people and they say, no, 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 this is what I want. And that's how we kind of start the conversation.
I love that. What I'm hearing, I can even like if you compare in the audience, like what are you hearing? Like even from my eyes, I'm hearing like this is like certainty, clarity, which sells, right? You're convincing, like you're really, really clear what you do really, really well. And the point about content here, so this is like the difference between going from how-to content to conversion content, which is around, you talked about the pain points, the possibilities, and the path.
Yeah.
Pain points, possibilities, and the path.
1,000%. And I was so worried. I'm not giving enough value. People are not gonna like me. I'm just talking about, problems. The exact opposite. From a business perspective, I get less likes, 100%. From a
Yeah.
business perspective, I would I probably get between 7 and 10 sales calls organically every single week just based on the content. This is before the master classes and outreach and all of that. And at the end of the day, that's what you need, right? Top of funnel. We need more people interested to buy. So I don't need 20 more offers. I just need a better way to bring people in. And I think the more I'm doing it, the more I want to double down on this is what I do. And if I'm for you, that's amazing. I know I'm not for everyone, but if that's your vibe, because I call myself a corporate rebel, I don't do things the way that it's supposed to be or how they teach you to do it. I actually teach people how to think like entrepreneurs to win the corporate game. So if you are my people, amazing. You're going to love this. And I've told people, I don't think this is for you. Like, I love you, but I'm just not the person for you. Go talk to these two people. They will be the best coaches. But you can only do that when you know exactly what you do. Because at the beginning, I wanted to work with everyone. No, I'll do that. No, I will definitely do that for you. Sure, we will fix that. And I could do it. But one, I hated, there are things I don't like talking about. I don't do job search. I don't do resumes. It's not in my repertoire. I tell people, we're not going to do your resume because one, you don't need it. If you want to go from director to VP, it's not your resume. We're going to do a whole lot of other things, but not that. And also, ChatGPT, you don't need me to do your resume. Come on. And that actually helps because I repel the wrong people and I attract the right people. But I was so scared that if I'm going to be specific, no one's going to come. If I say director to VP, then no one else will ever talk to me. Not that there aren't enough directors, but guess what? People still show up when they're senior director, when they're VP, senior managers at big tech companies come as well. But I'm no longer getting the early career people who just weren't a good fit. So, yeah, I don't know,
Give
it's working.
time. I love that. I really love that. I want to hear from the audience, like, what are you guys learning and hearing from this so far? Because for me, it's just a specificity, right? And clarity. And I love something I want to challenge all of you to really think about. And I talk a lot about this with my clients is even though you know what your niche is, but it's also getting really clear who your ideal buyers are, who your target buyers are. Who are you saying yes to? Who are you saying no to?
Yeah.
It's really, really important to get clear on that because then you can tell them like, hey, am I that I want to work with you or you are my ideal client to serve. And they can feel that. They can feel that energy from you. And they'll respect that if you aren't the right fit for them, that you refer them to someone else. They appreciate that as well.
Yeah. And I would say one more thing that has really been a game changer for me from a mindset perspective, mind you, but it changes everything. So, likes and cash, that was the first thing for me because I used to obsess about every post, but I didn't get enough likes. Doesn't matter. Number two, I was under the assumption that I'm a content creator, but I am not a content creator. I'm a business person who uses content to attract people. Content creators get paid for likes. So they should actually aim for virality. They should do the things that everyone is doing. We're not content creators for the most part. I think most people here are coaches. So you have to think about content differently. I used to obsess and try to find ways to help people and how to, and I would edit every post a million times. Now, ChatGPT, a list of all the problems, and about an hour and a half of me editing, and I'm done. And it does a better job in attracting people.
I love that. So this is really putting on your business hat. I think what I'm hearing, the taking away here is
Yeah.
put on the business hat of the way we create content. We're really thinking marketing, marketing strategy and planning, which is what we're talking about here, is marketing, content, planning strategy. Um, versus that where content is a tool, a marketing tool to drive conversion. There, right? Yeah, I love that. Any questions before we move on to the next one? This is a very juicy conversation here. I know we have our fellow friend show who is here, who's a
Yeah.
content creator, influencer here who does tons of brand deals as well. He creates a lot of viral content and how he thinks about
Yeah.
content. Yeah.
And thank
I
you
mean, this
for,
is so good, guys. I know I came a little late here. This Maya, the way the conviction you're speaking, like I want to buy your stuff. You know, like
thank you. I love that.
there's something that the way you're talking about it, it's so clear that you know who you serve, and then when you're meeting them, I think they also got that aha moment, like yes, you are my person. Let's work together. So I'm taking a lot out of this, what I can do with my own content, because I think I fall into that category where I want to help you, and yeah, I can do this, and I can also do that, and yeah, this is the price, right? I can be a little bit more exclusive. So I love the gems that you're sharing here, Maya.
Yeah, and thank you so much for the compliment. I mean, I love your content. And I think it's a mix, right? It's not 100% this or that. It's not that I will never give people a how to. Of course I will, but my focus shifted. And especially in a world where we all use AI, I mean, I love it. I use it for everything, but I always go back and give it my own tone of voice. I use my own phrasing. I don't keep all the words. And I actually feed GPT a lot of my real stories. So over time, it actually knows who I am, my background. So it's not something that someone else can just copy paste because it wouldn't make sense. But storytelling and conversion content both are game changers for me. But from a mindset perspective, and this is kind of funny how I did it, I had to let go. So two things happened. I had a video go viral on Instagram. It doesn't have, I have a very small following, but one of them went viral. It was a video saying, you will never get promoted if you're doing this, obviously. But I got love and hate, like you do in the real world. And I was freaking out. I was getting all the notifications, and some of them were just like people who don't believe me, which is okay. No, it doesn't work. I'm like, fine, you can say that. But some of them were mean, right? You should get your teeth done. Who are you to speak? You're too old. You're too young. Like weird stuff. And it was so hard. And I was sharing it with my team member, Laura. And she said, Maya, turn off notifications. Like, why the hell? I'm like, no, but if people want to engage, she's like, nope. turn off notifications. I will take care of it. And I turned off notifications, and that was almost a year ago, and I did not turn them back on. And I still have notifications for LinkedIn, but I only look at them once a day because I'm not on LinkedIn anymore. Laura is.
Wow. That's amazing. So you're focused. You're not distracted here.
It was crazy, and it was taking way too much of my attention, and it was messing with my mindset. Why is this post only getting this many? It doesn't matter. You create the content, you move on. If it worked, amazing. If it didn't work, you learn from it, you do it again.
Yeah.
But I'm not there. I mean, if I'm sending you a DM, it's me, but everything else is Laura.
Yeah. Yeah. That's amazing to hear that. I love that. So before I move to the next segment here, I want to ask you actually one advice here. If someone is currently undercharging, inconsistent with their revenue, or afraid to raise their prices, what would you say to them?
Ooh, well, it's going to be not hard to grow, but how much do you want to make? So wherever you're at right now, in an ideal world, if you had a perfect offer and every client would say yes to you, how much would you actually charge? And then I would encourage you to work your way up there. So when I raise my prices, I do it in two different ways. When I moved from 35 to 5K, and I knew that I was going to do it late last year, I actually send out emails to everyone on my list for like 2 weeks at the end of 2024. And I said, the program has been upgraded significantly. We're doing things differently. We have better results. The price is going up. If you want to keep the old price, buy now, because starting January 1st, you're not going to be able to get it. And that was a first step. And people tapped into that. And some people showed up in January, and I was like, nah, this is the new price. Take it or leave it. And some of them did. And some of them said, no, that's okay. So that was one way. The other way is I test it in the wild. So I don't go from 0 to a million. So let's say for my one-on-one coaching, I used to charge $6,000 for 6 sessions, but I realized it's not enough. So I need to charge more. So when I was in a really good conversation where I was pretty sure that this person is going to convert and I felt like I have a really strong offer, I just said, well, it's going to be $7,500 and saw what happened. And they were like, okay. And then I tried it with a few other people and I saw, okay, so I'm getting closer to a good price point. After a couple of months, again, good conversation. I know that I can add value. It just gives me the confidence to ask for more. And then I'm like, well, it's $10,000 to work with me. And I got a yes twice. And then I said, okay, we're not there yet. That means we can push. So you don't have to like jump a million. You can do $500 every time, kind of get used to selling at that price point and then do it again. I think from a mindset perspective, it's just really helpful. Like you're not going crazy and asking people for a ton of money, but you're slowly kind of like boiling a frog. I think there's an analogy, like slowly until you get to a point where you get a lot of no's. That's where you know you kind of maybe hit the ceiling, at least for the offer you have.
Yeah, yeah. I think from my experience working with clients, most undercharge from my experience. Most tend to undercharge. And I like the way that you're suggesting is one is understanding what your revenue target number is, and then break it down from a monthly target as well. Like if you want to
Yeah.
hit 10K months, 20K months, and then look at your conversion rates as well of how many people are you closing on a monthly basis, right? So let's say on average you're closing 2 people a month. If you want to make 10K months, you want to create a 5K offer.
Yeah.
Or if you're closing 4 people a month and you want it 10K months, minimum will be 25K, a $2,500 offer there. Right. So part of it's looking at that and looking at like in terms of the clientele that you're serving as well. Right. Of
Yeah.
type of clientele that you're serving, whether that makes sense in the market there.
And I think it's also about how much they want to solve the problem, what it's worth to them. So for the majority of my clients, the levels they're at, if they get that promotion, they will get anywhere between $50 to $150,000 extra. So as long as they do the work and we can help them get there, then what I'm charging is a fraction. Same goes for if you compare it to an MBA. Well, your alternative is to go get an MBA, pay $200,000 and spend 2 years and not get the answers because an MBA doesn't get you promoted. then again, it's an anchor that kind of shows the value.
Yeah.
And it's a price point that I'm comfortable with right now with the level of service I give because I said there's no one-on-one. This is solely group, and it's 3 months, and people are still showing up. They're very engaged, and we can talk about how I do that. That was a big change in my program. And they get results and they get them fast. And then I actually invite them to stay in the community for an extra charge. So that way I don't need to chase new customers all the time. I take the ones who are already happy and I get a little bit more when I continue serving them.
A little upsell there, essentially.
Yeah, and I do nothing new. I don't add sessions. I don't do extra one-on-ones. Literally just stay in the community where you can get the support and the materials, and they stay.
Yeah, I love that. One thing I'll add with the pricing as well that you set is really looking at your track record of success as well, right? Which is really the proof, the case studies, the type of results that you get for clients, and you want to be able to speak about that, and
Yeah.
that will help, right? When in terms of how ties back to pricing and conversion, is what does your track record of success look like? Are you used to helping people get like make 10K, 20K, 50K, 100K more? If it is, that's your proof. And so
Yeah.
then they see the return on investment, right? What's the return
And
on?
look, it takes time to get there. I didn't have that in year one, but what I had was, hey, this is what I did for myself. I came to a new country, right? Speaking a brand new language, and I got myself a VP offer with high six figures. I built a network. I became a keynote speaker. I won Marketer of the Year a year after literally starting from scratch. And if I did that for myself, I can do it for others. I also helped my brother. He was stuck at a job he didn't like, thought he had no options, did a little bit of coaching magic. He pitched a new role to his CEO, got it, and has been thriving and happy. So you just use what you have. You don't have to have the crazy numbers, but you need to be able to show, hey, I've actually done this either for myself or for at least one or two other people, and this is what it looks like. And for many of us, if you've been in corporate, you probably did some of this already. You just need to learn how to tell the story.
Amazing. Okay, so we're going to move to part 3 of this segment here, which is around planning, positioning, and scaling. So I have a couple more questions, and for the audience, feel free to ask questions afterwards. Either type it in, or you can also speak on camera here as well. So how has your planning evolved from launch to more predictable income months? How do you now structure your quarters or big picture goals?
Yeah, well, first of all, I have a plan because at the beginning I didn't have one. It was like, let's see. Um, and I probably fell prey to the shiny object syndrome. So I started early on with one-on-one coaching, and then I saw Justin Welsh with the courses, and I'm like, I'm gonna build a course because that's gonna make me $1 million. And I built a course and it did not make $1 million. It was actually very hard to sell it. And I put a lot of effort into it. And I didn't enjoy it because all I did was selling. There was no coaching aspect in a course, right? So that was kind of annoying. And then I thought, wait, group is the answer. And I went all in and I created a mini group program and I sold it for a couple of times. And then I realized it's just not attracting the right people. So the beginning, no plan. And I think that's okay because we sometimes need to test, not just to see what works, but also what do we like? Okay. The first time I did a free masterclass, and this is going to give you all a little bit of a shock, I did an 8-day free masterclass. I showed up 8 days in a row and I taught people and I sold 15 minutes out of those 8 days. No bueno. Okay. Don't do that. But what I realized is I never want to do this again. I am not going to run my business this way. It worked, by the way, not doing it again. It's just not for me. So it's a combination of, hey, what actually works, but also what are you comfortable doing? Because this is how you're going to live your life. You don't have to do anything. And this is also a little bit of a late realization. Everything works. And what I mean by that, you will find examples of people who are selling group for $15,000. You will find people who are selling at $2,000. Some people do 1-day masterclass. Some days do 5-week challenge. It doesn't matter. It will work when you have the right audience, when you actually like doing it, and when you have the right offer. because every strategy can work in the right context. You just need to choose what's right for you. So for me now, I actually do monthly 1 day workshop. I show up once for 1 hour. I teach, I also pitch, and then I give people an opportunity to talk to me. That's it. That's the big event that drives everything. That's the consistent part of it. But we also need to grow. So every month I run an experiment, and I already planned about half of them at the beginning of the year. One experiment was doing a 5-week challenge. I wanted to see if that will bring in people. It didn't, not as much as I wanted. I think people don't like the word challenge as much. That's okay. Another experiment was me doing email sponsorship. I want to bring people in. They might be a little bit cold, but I can't market to the same list all the time. So some of these were great. We actually got customers out of it, some not so much. So I learned this type works, this type doesn't. So now we have sponsorships every single month. And I have a few more planned for the rest of the year, but this is because I now have time to figure out how to grow. We do the things that work. I don't run my master classes anymore. My team member Laura does. She prepares everything. I show up and teach. I used to do every email, every message, and obviously that takes a lot of time. So now she does all of that. And I just show up and I teach, and then I do the sales calls.
Yeah.
So do I know 100% that I'm going to hit every single target? Nope. I just told you January was a flop and it drove me crazy. But guess what? It's March and we're back on track. So don't think in terms of such a short timeline of like weeks, maybe even month. Think about quarters and then years. I would much rather do this right and get to the type of business I want to have and the revenue in 3 years versus kill myself right now for the chance of maybe,
I love that.
making the revenue goals. Yeah.
Yeah. So Maya, so I'm curious, so you essentially you do a monthly webinar, which is that considered your launch? The monthly webinar,
Yeah.
the masterclass?
Oh,
And is
yeah.
that
And by the way, Shaw, 100%. I'm not letting her go ever.
Laura's a keeper.
I literally told her, whatever you want,
What-
salary, opportunity, anything, just whatever you want. You're mine. Like you're part of this business. Yeah.
Yeah, once you find someone, you gotta keep them if you love them.
1,000%.
Now, so you run a program that's like a cohort base, right? So every 3 months, like the way you do,
That
I'm trying
actually
to understand the
changed.
timeline. Okay.
So thinking about scale, I had to change it. This is what we did last year. It's 3 months. So there was a beginning and end date, which meant I had 3 months to get people into a 3-month
Yeah.
program. But guess what? People don't like to buy 3 months in advance. So I had a lot of really bad months where literally nothing happened. And that freaked me out. I don't like the crazy ups and downs. So what I started doing this year is every month there's 1 day where you can start an onboarding and actually join the program. So I keep teaching year long. I do the 3 month, I do them again, I do them again, but there are checkpoints that people can come in. And I just do a really quick onboarding with them to give them the high level. And then they join the live sessions. And we're at cohort number 3 doing this. And it's perfectly fine. I thought, no, people will not understand. There's an order. No, they're fine. They're all good. They're
Yeah.
happy.
I love that we're talking about this because that's something I debate a lot. And I run like an evergreen program where we can have clients join anytime throughout the year there. So I love that you do this. It's a 3-month program, but anytime you have onboarding is really key as well. So that's great to hear that
Yeah.
there.
But there's 1 date a month. So I get to have some scarcity, right? Because I can tell them, hey, this is your opportunity to join, or you're going to have to wait an entire month. And just 2 days ago, I had someone talk to me and he missed the onboarding. And I said, well, you're going to have to wait till the end of April. And he was like, no, but I have something now. I'm like, okay, do you want to join right now? You missed one session, but you can join us. And he was like, yeah. So having that date can also be really helpful.
I love that. I love that. How did you bounce back from launches that didn't work? Like I know you talked a little bit mindset. Can you talk a little bit about this when things don't work or you try this out?
Well, for a full day, I freaked out and complained mostly to my husband. But I've been here before and I know that if I'd done something once, I can do it again, right? If I had six-figure launches, I will have another one. And I started looking at the data and asking the right questions. What happened? Did I do the same thing? And honestly, there was nothing we can point to apart from maybe we just had the wrong people in the room. I don't know how it happened, but we just had the wrong people. Because I had really good conversations, and every single one of them turned into no, which was very strange. But stopped there, said, okay, let's go back to what worked for sure, because I've done this masterclass a few times, the same version of it. But then asked myself, okay, what can I do differently to make it better? And I didn't start from scratch. And I'm saying it because I have done this so many times and it cost me probably a month of revenue. I just asked myself, okay, what's missing? What can I do better? What can I do differently? And I spent a lot of time on the last part of the selling because I think the teaching was there, but I spent more time on the pitching to do it more intentionally, but less abruptly. So instead of going from, here's everything that I taught you, now come into my program, it's a little bit more gradual. It's like, I want to show you the strategy behind everything that you learned today. And I show them the strategy. And like, and this is actually what I teach inside of my program. And when I teach it, here are the results that people get. So if you've been through this and you identify that you have the problems and you want to tap into the strategy, now I have an offer for you. And here's how we can work together. So it was just me spending more time on that. And that what made the next masterclass a huge success. And then March wasn't exactly the same. It wasn't bad, but it didn't reach the same heights. But that's okay because March is March and it's regularly a lower month, just like November and December usually are. And that's okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to do the same thing in April.
Yeah, I love that. I love the hearing just like your mindset and attitude towards it. Like I just feel like you have it's more zen now. Like you're the way you think about how you
Yeah.
see the business, which is less stress, more calm. Other. So my
Yeah,
last
that was
question,
not me at the beginning, by the way.
I remember,
I
yeah.
would literally be on the floor crying, I'm going to quit this business. Why did I start this? I don't want to be an entrepreneur. But I think I just learned to accept that this is what it looks like. I made a choice. Here's how I get myself back on track. Maya, do you want to get back to corporate? And my brain goes, no. I'm like, okay, then figure it out.
Love that. I love that. So my final question, I'm going to open the floor up here, is what advice would you give someone who currently feels stuck? Whether it's feeling stuck on whether to move this new direction or hitting their 10K month, their 20K month, what advice do you have for them?
I would say go to your best customers, the people who bought, the people who didn't push back, the people who are doing the work, whatever that is, and figure out how to get more of those and solve the same problem you're solving for them. Because that's when you're going to have that product market fit. When you address those people, not everyone, not everything, but you're super specific. And then I genuinely believe everything else will fall into place because your content will share the same topics. The way that you sell will be around the same problem, and you will have more people attracted to you who are the right clients. And at the end of the day, you get to choose, right? When you're in corporate, someone else gives you a salary, and yeah, you can negotiate it, but there's some sort of a cap. When you have your own business, there are literally no limits. And I say this when I coach my clients. The bar for what you're capable of is basically infinite. If it does not defy the laws of physics, you can do it. And anyone who will challenge me on that, I will prove to you that someone has done this before. And if they have, you can do it too. So that's kind of my reminder. You can do it. If you want to charge more, charge more. Just figure out how to do it in a way that attracts the right people.
I love it. I love it. Oh my goodness. One of the things that just popped up for me, the key learning, I want to hear from the audience. Type in the comment here. Was this helpful? First of all, type in a +1. Let's give like some like love to Maya here for sharing with us here. I'm taking away here is specificity sells and simplicity scales.
Yeah,
Specificity sells,
1000%.
simplicity scales. that's just popped up for me as I'm like thinking the takeaway from today's session with you is that. And I think this is what's going to allow you to have more space to grow, right? Of how you doubled your revenue by working less is because by keeping it simple, hiring, keeping it to one offer, one specific
Yeah.
audience and problem that you're solving, and just
Um,
keeping it simple.
and I would say my goal and the way that I'm structuring my business, I want to get to $1 million in revenue. We're not at the seven figures yet. We're close, but not there yet. Um, I want to get there with one offer. And after I do that, that's when I'm going to start thinking, ooh, maybe I can diversify. Maybe I can do a few other things. But I want to get this so good and so dialed in that I have a business that I love. I'm going to be working 3 days a week. That's the goal. I'm mostly going to be doing coaching. And at that point, I'm going to decide, hey, do I want more? Or is this just where I want to be? I went back and forth. There were times when I thought, I'm going to have 50 people, right? We're going to do like a Fortune something company. And at some point, I realized I actually don't. I want to have what you might call a lifestyle business where I only do what I love. I only work when I want to work. And I make what I consider to be a shit ton of money and enough for my lifestyle and just be happy.
Mhm. I love that. Getting clear on who you are, what you want, what's important to you, the life that you want to live.
Guess where I got that?
Living intentionally.
When Diana and I just met, I was still in the high achiever mode. Work, 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 do everything, crazy. You have to win. You have to have the best numbers, the best, the best, the best, the best. And I'm still very competitive, don't get me wrong, but I actually want to enjoy it now. And I think it was just like a little click in my head. And I think that what gives me a lot of the composure when things go wrong and the patience to get there, but to get there in a way that makes me happy versus working myself to the ground. And I had to convince myself to do that. It wasn't easy at the beginning. It was like, no, I'm going to make whatever my first year. I mean, I've always been the best. I'm going to be the best here too.
Mhm.
But whose life am I trying to live? Right? I need to live my own life. So yeah, a lot of mindset work, people, and some therapy.
Thank you for this real talk with us. This is like honest and raw. I want to ask the audience, what are some ahas or questions that you have for Maya that you want to share with us
Yeah,
today?
I think we had a question before. Someone asked about how to combine corporate and selling on the side or coaching. I think it was here somewhere.
Was there? Yeah. Oh, like working full time while
Yeah.
running a business? Yep. Yeah, we have a few people
So
full time. Yep.
unfortunately, I didn't do that. I did the stupid thing because one day I woke up and I'm like, I'm done. Bye. Quit my job, had no idea what I'm gonna do, took 3 months to figure it out, made a plan, and started coaching. Much better to start building on the side. And I've actually helped a few clients to do the same thing because your executive title is so valuable in coaching because it gives you the credibility. It really shows that you have the chops. And if you're doing consulting and not coaching, you can charge a lot more when you have the title. So I think it's really about making sure that you're not limiting yourself. I know for some of my clients, they were told, oh, don't post on LinkedIn. Oh, it's not something that we support. And sometimes that's the case, and you need to decide what's more important to you. But sometimes we just don't ask. We just assume that it's going to be a problem. And when I took my last VP role, I told my CEO, hey, I wrote this book, I write content, this is part of who I am, this is the full package. You're getting this advantage, but that means that I get to keep doing it. And it was actually in my contract to make sure that I can still do it. So one, don't assume, validate to make sure that you are free to do what you want to do on the side, not during work hours or whatever that is. And just Work on getting clients. Nothing else matters. You don't need a fancy website. You don't need a pre-recorded course. You don't need to spend a million hours building whatever. You need to have something on your LinkedIn banner and Stripe so that you can take money from people.
Hmm.
That is it.
Yeah,
That's the only thing you need.
I love that.
Start coaching, get results, then think about everything else.
Yeah. Do you do any outbound outreach or is it primarily
Yeah, we do. We started halfway through last year because after one of those launches that were not so great, I was just so upset because LinkedIn was terrible and all the reach was down. And oh my God, I'm not going to have a business anymore. And I was talking to a shared friend of ours, Prasha Dutra, and she said, Maya, what the hell? Like, you can't grow a business on organic, not in a sustainable way. I've been doing ads forever. What are you talking about? And I'm like, oh wait, I can run ads or like pay for, yeah. But I had this notion in my mind, if it's not organic, it's not real. It's not good. You're not the best. You have to chase people. And I'm like, shoot, people just don't know who I am. I need to give them an opportunity to even know that I exist. And that's when we started doing sponsorships. So I didn't go all in on the ads yet. I just haven't cracked it. I love sponsorships because it's a really targeted audience.
What does
So
that mean?
I
I think someone asked me that. What does that sponsor
yeah.
mean? Yeah.
So there's a marketing community, for example, called PMM Camp. It's run by Tamara Graminsky, also a friend. And she has a newsletter. All of the people there are director-ish and above. They're in marketing, which is my target audience. And they already invested in their career because they're part of this community. So I just run an ad in her newsletter, inviting people to my masterclass. And every time we did that, I got clients out of it because I can track through Kajabi. I can just track from the minute someone signed up, where they came from, and did they actually end up buying. So that's what we do. A very targeted audience, very targeted message, inviting them to something free, but actually tracking the conversion.
I love that. Do you happen to know, have you tracked data on the time it takes to convert from someone who, let's say, that email sponsorship, or they've seen you somewhere, like the time to
Yeah, it varies. I've seen people going from cold to purchase, and I've had people 6, 9, 12 months in my world, and then finally saying, Maya, now I'm ready. So I constantly remind myself that I need patience because the people who came to that January masterclass, some of them will convert in the long term, and I can see where they came from. Everyone has a tag. I know what happened in the journey. And that way I can look back and say, okay, so that actually came from there. So sometimes we need patience. Not everyone is ready to say, take my money after like one event or one conversation.
Yeah.
And that's okay.
Yeah, yeah. I talk a lot about this right now too. It is really around the nurturing, the lead nurturing. Like once they come into, let's say, your email list or through whatever, it takes time in that journey. Like, how are you really adding value and building more trust? Whether you invite them to a masterclass or an in-person event or a call with you, whatever that looks like, is you're deepening the trust. Because one of the things I always talk about is like maybe they've seen you through an ad or a content, but they haven't experienced you of how you teach, how you speak, how you facilitate, how you coach, how you mentor. And so when they
Yeah.
get to actually experience you live, it changes how they feel about you, how they see you.
Yeah,
Trust
it's the
increase.
pre-buying experience, right?
Exactly.
The journey that they go through. And for some people, it's very short, which is great, but not for everyone. So actually, that's where I'm spending a lot of time right now in terms of experiments. How can I give a better experience? Because right now I'm mostly sending emails and I just don't think that's enough. But I have so many videos at this point. I have so many free classes that I did that I can kind of create almost think about it like Netflix. Like you can binge Maya and you like it so much, it's going to be a loophole. So you watch a video and it sends you to something. And maybe after 3 or 4 of these, people are like, okay, now I get it. Now I know who she is. And people get into my list every day, newsletter, different things that I do, but I don't have a good way to intentionally walk them through the process I want them to go through. So that's the thing I'm building right now.
Yeah. 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 Something to consider is two-way communication versus one-way. Meaning, for example, like today, like in Zoom, we can have a two-way communication with our audience versus doing, let's say, a live stream or a podcast,
Yeah.
and that interaction.
So one thing I'm doing more of, and I think I can still do it because my list is not huge. I don't do a lot of buttons of like, click here to sign up or to do stuff. I actually tell people, reply and let me know why you think you're stuck or to actually start a conversation. I'm still not sure if it works better. It's very early. Um, but I just sometimes don't want to move them to a different platform. So I'm testing different ways to get this engagement. But in the age of AI, honestly, people just want human connection. This is why I'm actually doubling down on teaching live, on actually working with people. Yes, still in the DMs, not jumping on calls with me, but it's me. I record everything for them. I do the work because I think that's what they're paying for more than anything else. Information, come on. With ChatGPT, you can get anything you want, but the motivation to do it, the specificity of do this, don't do that, instead of getting a list of 100 things, and basically me. And that actually answers the question about should you use a personal profile or like your company name? My personal opinion, people are buying me.
Yeah.
1,000%. I'm the brand, which is why I do everything from my own profiles. There is merit to building a company one, especially if you know you're going to get yourself out of the business. At some point, you're going to have other coaches and you're kind of going to be just at the top and a CEO. That is a way for you to prepare for long-term growth if that's the direction you want to go. For me, it's just not the right move, at least not right now, because I want to be in the business. And I hope I don't regret it in the future, but we'll see. And again, people just want real people.
Yeah.
Everything is going to be automated in a minute. Every video is going to be fake. It's literally here.
Yeah.
So I'm just constantly thinking, how can I give more of that personal touch? How can I be more me and not everyone else? That's language. That's how I show up. I used to do a lot more jackets and button ups, and I'm like, screw it. This is how I actually dress in the day to day. And I just want to make it more relatable. So I share more of me, and at least from what I'm seeing right now, it works really well. Long-term scale, you might need to have both.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you for sharing. I'm with you on that one too. I'm doubling down a lot more on the experience aspect of things as well. Yeah.
Yeah. What, another book, Chris? I already have one. But the first one is on career growth. So yeah, funny story. I was actually approached about writing a book. And I said no because I want to grow my business right now. And if I write another book, I'm not going to grow the business the same way. So maybe next year, we'll see.
Yeah. Yeah. Any other questions here? This is great. This was such a great conversation. I love it. Insights, aha, questions. What came up?
Yeah, I mean, come on, bring it on.
Yeah. You got a chance to talk live.
Hey there, it's Daisy.
Hey, Daisy.
Hi, how are you?
Good seeing you again.
Good. This is great. Maya, I have a question for you, and thank you so much for giving us so much information. I was the one who asked about the sponsorship. So
Oh,
that's
okay,
another,
awesome.
yeah, that's another thing I could be thinking of. But in terms of your group, how many people do you have in your group, say for the 3 months? Like how many people do you work with?
Yeah, it kind of changes because we have people come in every month and it's not always the same number, but I would say
Mhm.
around 30 to 40 any given time. And then we have about 25-ish who show up live.
Okay, great. Thank
Yeah.
you.
But it started with 4, just for clarity.
Yes. Well, that's good to know too, because I was always stressing myself out that I have to start with 10.
No, no, no,
And
no.
so if I don't get the 10, I start saying, oh my God, what am I doing wrong?
You can even have 2, and guess what? So we're gonna flip your mindset around this. Yes, a big group has its advantages, right? The motivation, the people, excitement. But guess what? If people paid for a group and they basically get one-on-one because it's just the 2 or 3 of them, you're actually giving them more. They should be thrilled. They shouldn't be bummed. Just position it that way. It's like, hey, you're the lucky ones to come in for my beta or for my first cohort. So you're going to get a lot more me time. So we're going to dive really deep. We're going to do amazing things together. And then when the next group is going to be 10 or 20, you're going to be so happy you chose this one.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Really appreciate it.
I think
Yeah.
part of the question I hear a lot, especially for those who want to transition from one-on-one to group coaching, is one is like, what does success look like when you launch a group program? And how do you want to run it? But also, part of it is testing out your capacity of how many people you can handle. We've had fellow coaches who have like 100 people in the program or like 50 people in the program. And so part of it, it's also knowing yourself in terms of how many clients that you can handle. There's like for me, like I have a hybrid program, the one-on-one and group. So I know my capacity number. I worked at my spreadsheets. Like I can handle up to like 70 people at a time with the way I structure my one-on-ones. And so that would be my number. Like once I hit that, then I'm going to need to hire people to help me as well.
Yeah. And I think for me, I haven't tested it yet, but I think we can get to 100, and that would probably be the limit because I still do a lot of the coaching. But I also know that if we hit 100, I'm also going to be at my revenue goal, so we're good. And again, that's part of the pricing strategy. How do I do it the way that works for me? And I see, Jackie, you had a question. I had my business for about a year before I met Diana. And so that was year number 1, 2, 3, and now we're at year 4. So a little over 2 years ago. Yeah, and she can't get rid of me. We we talk all the time, and we met in Toronto last year because I'm like, I can't get enough. We need to have a reunion every year.
You didn't let me cut the group, the WhatsApp group there. You're like, I can't get.
No, we're just, I mean, well, it's you and it's Anna and it's Tiffany and Katie. It's like, yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
it's amazing how much easier everything gets when you find your people, when you have a tribe, when you're around people who are going through what you're going, and they can tell you you're not crazy. Like I have a lot of friends who don't have their own business, and I can tell them, shit, my launch didn't go well, and they're like, okay, they don't get it. But when you talk to someone who gets it, it's a lot easier, and they're gonna show up for you. So yeah, it's huge. Ever since I've always made sure that I have a community or I'm part of a community and I'm building more and more, I'm bringing in more people into my life because we need it. We're not supposed to do it alone. It's not fun.
Yeah.
This is such a great way to wrap up this session, and this is why I'm running these sessions. The Real Talk sessions is I know entrepreneurship can feel lonely, and this is why I bring together people like all of you together, fellow coaches, to talk about the real behind the scenes, the highs and lows of entrepreneurship, because it's not easy, right? And what has really been a game changer for me the last several years is surrounding myself with the right people. Surrounding myself with the right people, get in the room to support one another, to collaborate, partner, endorse each other, refer each other a business, help each other think bigger. That has really been a game changer for me in my business, just because it has helped me think bigger as well of what's possible. And this is why I want to encourage all of you, like find your own group as well of people. Like it could just be like a handful of people. And it's amazing of how what the change could be, the transformation that can be done just by having the right people in your circle there. Okay. So what's one word to describe how you're feeling from today's session? Or what's one word to describe like a key takeaway from today's session here? Like type in the comment to share with us. We want to hear from you, your feedback as well. Inspired. Dorothy, thank you.
Yay.
Motivated, energized, excited, but also nervous. That's okay, Jackie.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I love
Grateful,
that. You've been a very good audience.
energized. Amazing. Amazing. Yeah. And this is what's possible. Like I really, the reason why I do this is I want to showcase what's possible. And I really appreciate you, Maya, today of just being real and raw with us, because there's always ups and downs in entrepreneurship. It's just a reality. And this is part of building our resiliency, patience, and belief in ourselves. I think that's so, so important. Like one thing that I've seen right now, like just working with so many clients now, is as much as we all want to grow the business, a big part is the belief in ourselves, our own self-worth, our value, owning your voice, owning your greatness, owning your power, owning your light. And that's how you're really going to shine and stand out in the market there. Right?
Yeah,
Continue to be here.
1000%. Success is 80% mindset, no matter what you do. Corporate, business, doesn't matter. It's all here. And once you figure that out, honestly, this is where you get people like Diana or me to give you the strategy in our respective areas, but mindset. It changes everything. So yeah.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much, Maya, for being here today. And for those who are here, thank you so much for being here. I want to let you know we have our next Real Talk on April 24th, 12 to 1:30 with Dr. Jasmine Escalera, where she's going to talk about from fear to freedom, reinventing your business and life on your terms. So I would love to see all you there again. If you're free, definitely RSVP. We'll be sending you the link with the replay and the next month's session as well. So thank you so much for being here today, all.
Yeah, don't miss Jasmine. She is the dopest person on the planet.
She's amazing. She's on fire. Like she just, when you're in the room with her, you'll be motivated. You'll be empowered. Amazing. Thank you all so much for being here today.
Thank you.
Thank you
Take
both.
care. Bye.